How to crochet a shawl is today's tutorial. I will guide you step by step and row by row. To help you succeed, you'll see the pattern text for every row on screen. And for all of you visual learners, I've also drawn the pattern diagram so you can follow along. To make things even clearer, I'll be using red animated circles to highlight exactly where each stitch goes, keeping you right on track. But wait, there is more. I've added my innovative progress bar at the bottom of the screen so you'll always know exactly which row we're working on. This design is from Annie Design Crochet, and this is her YouTube channel. She creates some beautiful designs and she's making them available to all of us for free, so make sure to visit her channel and her blog. Go ahead, grab your yarn and your hook, and let's get going. To make my shawl, what I actually did is I used this super thin lace weight yarn, but I use 2 strands of it, and I use a 1.5 millimeter hook. So this one really took a while. It was definitely a work of love and patience, but the result was worth it. But for the purpose of the tutorial, I'm going to be using a much thicker yarn and a very bright color, so it's easy for you to follow along. Okay, to get started, I am going to start out with my slip knot. And then we're going to start out with a chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. The first 4 chains is in place of a treble crochet, and then I'm going to do a chain 2, so that's a total of 6, and then I'm going to do a treble crochet into the first stitch here. So treble crochet is 1, 2 yarn overs, insert into the first stitch, and then yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and then yarn over, pull through another 2 loops, leaves you with 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. So this is your setup row. Okay, so let's do row number 1. So for row number 1, we're going to do a chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to turn our work, and into our V space right here, we're going to do a V stitch. And for the purpose of this tutorial, a V stitch for this pattern is a double crochet followed by a chain 2 and another double crochet. So this pattern consists of a lot of V stitches. So when I say a V stitch, it's always a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. And this is what your work should look like right now. Okay, let's start on row number 2. So we're going to start off with a chain 2 this time. This doesn't really count for anything. You're going to turn your work and look at your work right here. So you have 2 spaces here. So you have this space and this space. And we will work a V stitch in each of these 2 spaces. So here's my first V stitch, double crochet, chain 2, and another double crochet into the same space. And then into the next space, we're going to do another V stitch. So that was a double crochet, chain 2, and another double crochet. Okay, and then here at the end, we're going to do a chain 2, and we're going to do a treble crochet. So 2 yarn overs, Here we go. So if you want to remember for this pattern, the treble crochet always is on one side of the work, which is kind of like where your tail is. Okay, let's go ahead and start our row number 3. So row number 3, we're going to start out with a chain 6. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to turn our work. So let's take a look at our work right here. We have one V-shaped space, 2, and then this one is the third one. And in each of these V chain spaces, you're going to put a V stitch. Okay, so V stitch number 1 goes in here. And then V stitch number 2 will go in here. Okay, and this is like this upside down triangle. We don't do anything with this space, but we're going to do another V stitch over here. Okay, and then we're going to do a double crochet into this little space here we have at the end. You see right here? So we'll do a double crochet right in here. And that was row number 3. Okay, row number 4 is the 4th of your 4-row repeat. You're going to start off with a chain 2. This doesn't really do anything for us right now. So let's take a look at our work. So we have a V-shaped space right here, one right here, one right here, and then one in this big space over here. Okay, so we're going to work our puff stitches in there. So it's a combination of 2 puff stitches. So if you look at the finished work, the first 3 rows have all these beautiful little eyelets, and then the 4th row in your 4-row repeat is a row of puff stitches, and that kind of creates these asymmetrical lines in your shawl. So in each of these V spaces, I'm going to do 2 puff stitches. Okay, so my puff stitch is, I'm going to yarn over, pull up a loop as if to do a double crochet, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. You leave it as that. Don't finish your double crochet. You're going to do that again. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and leave that stitch there as is. Now you have 3 chains. You do that one more time. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 2 loops. So now you have 1, 2, 3, 4 loops on your hook. Now you're going to yarn over and pull through all 4 loops. And that's half your pattern for in here. Then you're going to chain 2. And then you do another puff stitch into the same space. So yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. We do that a second time and one more time. You have 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 4 loops. So you have 2 puff stitches next to each other in the same space with a chain 2 in the middle of that. So let's look for our next V space, which is this one right here. So let's do our next set of V stitches. So do 3 unfinished double crochet like so. You have 4 loops, yarn over, pull through all 4 loops, chain 2, do the same thing into the same space. Okay, so that's 2. We're going to do another one in here. So this is my first puff stitch. Chain 2, and I'll do another puff stitch into the same space. And into our last space right here, we're going to do another set of puff stitches. So that's 2 and 3. And then yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, chain 2. We put another puff stitch. And then I'm going to do a chain 2. And I'm going to do, remember this side where the tail is? We always end with a treble crochet. So 2 yarn overs into the same space. You do a treble crochet. And this was row 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4 is your pattern repeat. But we're going to do that together one more time. And between each of the 4 rows, when we work the first row of our 4-row repeat, we will always end before the last 2 puff stitches. So here's a set of 2 puff stitch, here's a set of 2 puff stitch, and we always end 2 before it ends. So that actually creates this zigzag edging for you. So round number 5, we're going to start out with a chain 6, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we're going to do a V-stitch into this first space right here, and then we're going to do a V-stitch right here in the chain 2 space between the 2 puff stitch. We're going to do another one over here, and here's where we're going to end. We leave the 2 last sets of puff stitches alone, okay, to create that zigzag edging. So let's go ahead and do our first V-stitch into the beginning space. Here we go. And then I'm going to go into the next space, which is in between the 2 puff stitches, and I'll do another V-stitch. And then into the next space, which is right here in between the next set of V-stitches, I'll do another V-stitch. Okay, so now I find myself before the last 2 sets of V-stitches, or I'm sorry, 2 sets of puff stitches, and right here before the next puff stitch starts, I'm going to do a double crochet. Okay, so every repeat starts out with a row like this. You always end before the last 2 sets of puff stitches. So that was row number 5. So for row number 6, we're going to start off with a chain 2 and turn our work, and then we're going to do 4 V-stitches. 1, 2, 3, and into the space right here would be our 4th V-stitch for this row. So into my first space, I'm going to do my V-stitch, Okay, and then find your next space, which is right here. Put in your V-stitch. And then my next V-stitch space is right here. I'll do a third V-stitch. And then here in this big space here at the end, I'm gonna put one last V-stitch. And here we find ourselves in on this side where the tail is, and to give it this curve, we're gonna do a chain 2, and that is where we're gonna put our treble crochet, right? So put your treble crochet into the same last space, and that is row 6. So you can already start seeing it curving. Okay, row number 7 is the third of our 4-row repeat. So we'll start out with a chain 6, turn our work, and into every V-stitch that we have, we're gonna do a V-stitch. So in this case, we're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 V-stitches to do for row 7. So first one goes right here at the beginning. And then look at your work. You'll find your next V-stitch space right here. You put a V-stitch on top of that V-stitch. And then your next one would be this space right here, not this, okay? It's this one. Here we go. And then the next one would be right here. And then we're gonna have one more V-stitch right here. And then here at the end, right in this little space, we're gonna put in our double crochet. And that was row 7, which is the third of our 4-row repeat. Okay, row 8 is our fourth of our 4-row repeat. So chain 2, and this is the row where we're going to do a bunch of puff stitches. Okay, so let's take a look at the work here. So we're going to do a set of puff stitches here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we're going to do 6 sets of puff stitches in row number 8. So we're going to start out right here. So puff stitch is 3 double crochets unfinished, yarn over, pull through all the loops, chain 2, and into the same space you're going to do another puff stitch. Okay, and then you do the same into this next space right here. So that's my second set of puff stitches for row 8. I got 4 more to go. So here's my next space. Okay, so I did 1, 2, 3. Here's my next space right here. One, two, three, 4, and then I got 2 more. So here's the next one. Okay, so I did 5, and I have 1 more which goes into this last space right here. Okay, and remember on this side here where it curves, we always end up with chain 2 and a treble crochet into that last space. And that was row 8. So you're gonna do 5, 6, 7, 8 over and over again to get this beautiful shawl. So to get this texture for the finished scarf, definitely use a lightweight yarn, like a lace weight yarn or a finger weight yarn. I do hope the pattern makes sense. It's actually very easy once you get used to it, and the diagram and the pattern text is available to you to help you get along. So hopefully you like it. To give me a thumbs up or share, and I will see you next time.